Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the recommended permit fee increase, at this stage it is only recommended, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Council hasn't approved it.
Okay, when will it come to council and
It's
explain that?
the building permit fee schedule as well as the permit fees will be coming to council on the 23rd of November.
Okay. And the increase is because the reserve fund has been depleted, is that correct?
That's correct. We've had a healthy reserve fund in the past, but we haven't really kept it up with regards to increase in the fees. And for the most part, we've depleted the reserve to a point where we have to start replenishing it. And we've suggested that a way of doing it within 5 years is to increase it with a heavy increase at the beginning, and then moving downwards towards the 2018, 2020.
How did the reserve funds get depleted?
There was a couple of ways that they did, because we never ended up increasing our building fees for many years. And then on top of that, we had a situation where we were removing some of the reserve to accommodate a rent fee that we were charging the building department, which is a permitted use of the reserve. But also, we didn't also have the kind of building that we had in the past, and the projects are not as large, and so the fees and the totals for the end of the year were less. So it was a culmination of a number of things, but those are the most important.
So I guess really the last time the growth of infrastructure was in 2010, 2011
Yes.
with the government infrastructure programs.
That's right. That was a high one in terms of at least allowing us to build on that. Yes.
All right. So these fees, will they actually become more in line with the costs of the work that the building department does?
Yes, they'll come in more in line with that, as well as the fact that we'll end up being able to gather sufficient fees to at least have a reserve of about $250,000 to $300,000 by the year 2020. Because after the 2016, we're roughly about, I don't know, somewhere in the range of $17,000.
And can you explain to me again, I missed it in council there, how building permit fees are calculated?
The fees are calculated on the basis of the effort that's being put in by the community with regards to meeting the expectations to pay for the services they provide. In other words, looking at the salaries that are being charged, looking at the services and the material that's required in order to carry forward an inspection, and that means everything from the use of a city vehicle right through to the electronic equipment that we use to document all the information. So it's fairly significant in terms of a process to be used. And at that time, then it's determined that we also have to cover the costs associated with ancillary users that are also assisting the building permit fee process, like the other departments. There's legal, there's finance, there's planning and engineering that have staff that are addressing certain efforts to make sure that that building permit that's issued is one with all the review that has to be done in order for it to proceed. So on that basis, it's done in a way that it's representative of the costs of an area, in Sault Ste. Marie, for example, and then moving forward to ultimately an implementation.
So does the actual fees that are charged now, are they on a per square foot?
Yes, they're currently at a square foot basis or square meter basis. On the basis, there was also a 1% value that was used in the past in terms of the building value of the structure. However, this seems to be the ratio that's being used by the industry as a whole, for the most part. There are some municipalities still having the percentage of 1% of the value of the project as a method of charging.
Jerry, are those figures based on, I think it was mentioned there was a flat line of growth? Is that going to
Yes,
affect, so that could affect those final numbers, correct?
Yes, we're trying to get as close as possible to the reality of what we're going to see in the next 5 years. And yes, it's 0.5% growth in those values, and then hopefully that will resonate for the 5 years, and we can see a steady increase beyond that. At this stage, we have built some pretty impressive structures, and at the next few years, we're really going to be relying smaller projects. And so that'll probably see. The 2016 will be a really interesting year for us to monitor, to see what happens.
I think two of the councilors brought up building homes. If they're building X amount of homes and then the other person is building about twice that amount, is there a difference there that they're going to have to?
Well,
to
it depends on the number. Some of the builders, for example, they have certain levels of commitment to a community and building new homes. Some people will build a home, 6 homes, some developers, I should say, will do 6 homes a year. Others will do 20, 30, or 40. It just depends on what the market is going to bear. So as we use as an argument, not an argument, an example, a home that's roughly about 4,000 square feet would probably have about a $3,000 building permit fee. Okay, somewhere around that range. With the increase in next year, that would probably cost them an extra $1,000. So
should those jumps take effect, besides the obvious
Yes.
fees, what can a proposed builder or project developer expect in the short and the long term? There might be some challenges there financially for those wanting to build.
There could be some second decisions having to be made as to how you're going to build your project, but for the most part, a lot of the building permits that are pushed out through our office are ones that are very inexpensive. So the amount of percentages that are basically being used are fairly light in terms of an actual increase. It is across the board, though. It's industrial, commercial, institutional, and residential on the basis of square footage. So the fact is that if we don't do it this way, we are then looking at a totally different way of trying to access dollars to pay for the positions that are held in the building division that are directly related to the building industry.
Are you concerned that this could discourage development, Suzanne, going this way?
At this stage, it's really hard to say, because for the most part, I mean, the building fees were not as high as other communities, for example, and that was noted with our meeting with the developers. They're saying it's about time that you sort of readjust your fees to reflect the level of service that you're providing, and they all were commenting even this morning that the level of service has been very, very good. In other communities, it's many months before they get certain building permits approved, and in our particular case, we can get something out the door in 10 days, even less.
So it looks like this report in 2 weeks might likely answer some of those questions.
Absolutely, and I think it's good that we're going to do it soon after that we talked about it this evening, and that'll allow council to certainly make a decision, hopefully on the 23rd.